You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith. Hey there, Sprouts. Today is Friday, March 1st, 2019. This week on Catholic Sprouts, we have been talking about Lent because it is right around the corner. We talked about the basics of Lent, how it starts on Ash Wednesday and goes all the way to Easter. We also talked about what we can expect to see during Lent, including the colors, the ashes, the stations of the cross. Next, we talked about the things that we can anticipate hearing, the fact that we will not hear the Alleluia, and that we should look for more silence during Lent. Yesterday, we talked about 3 things that we can expect to feel during Lent if we are living it out the right way. And those 3 things were hunger, boredom, and suffering. Now, of course, we don't want to take any of these to the extreme. Christ does not desire that we harm ourselves. He simply wants us to start looking at the things that we do too much of and the things that we can offer him as a sweet and simple gift. Today, we are going to start talking about what we should be doing during Lent. Because Lent is not only a time of reflection, it is a time of action also. On Monday, we started the discussion of the resolutions that we should be making during Lent. And hopefully you went and downloaded that worksheet and have been thinking about them. If you would still like to grab it, you can head to catholicsprouts.com/Lenten-worksheet. But I would encourage you to set 3 different resolutions for yourself this Lent. And we're going to review what each of these areas are. And I'm going to give you some ideas for what you can do in each of these areas. So the first area is prayer. Lent is a time where we need to rededicate ourselves to our private prayer life. Now, as Catholics, we are required to go to Mass every Sunday. So hopefully that is not something that you need to make a resolution about because you're already doing it. But ideas for Lenten resolutions can be going to a daily Mass if it works for your family. But what I really encourage you to do is to set aside time for you personally, all on your own and all through your own initiative, for you personally to set aside time to pray. You can do this in a couple of different ways. You can pray in your bed before you fall asleep. You can pray in your bed in the morning before it's time to get up. You can find a brand new notebook and you can simply write a little note to God in that notebook every day. A lot of people like to pray this way because keeping a prayer journal can be a way to slow down and really focus on your prayer. You can also spend the time that you walk home from school to pray, or the time directly after school. Go up to your room and sit in your bed for 10 minutes is all and pray then. But I encourage you to find a way to make prayer your own and your own responsibility. The next area to make a resolution in is usually the only place that most people make a resolution, and that is in the area of fasting. Fasting usually means giving something up or abstaining from something that we enjoy, but usually also something that leads us to sin. So, for example, a very powerful thing to fast from is television. Television often leads us to the sin of sloth, meaning we get really lazy. We don't see the needs of other people and we don't respond in love. We just kind of waste away our lives and don't use it for doing the work of God. So you can fast from something like television or Netflix or video games. You can also fast from food. We talked about a couple days ago how fasting from food between meals is a required thing to do for grown-ups, especially on Fridays, but is a beautiful thing for all people to do, especially people living in the Western world like we do who eat more than they need to eat. The final area to set a resolution is the area of almsgiving. Now, we usually think that this just applies to adults and has to do with money. Now, it certainly can have to do with money. And as adults, we are required to tithe, which means we are required to give 1/10 of our money to the church or to charity or to the poor. As a child, however, you can still make a resolution for almsgiving. And I want you to remember that there are 3 different things that we can give to people. Yes, we can give them our money, but we can also give away our time, or we can give away our talent. Simply saying, I'm going to sit with my sister and read her a story every afternoon so that my mother doesn't go crazy, that is a powerful act of almsgiving. Or saying that you are going to give your talent at building Legos to a friend to make them happy, that you're going to build them something, or whatever it might be, whatever your talent is. I'm going to use my talent for singing and go to the nursing home and sing for them. Be creative. Think about something that is doable, that you could easily do without too much effort, that on your parents especially. But just think about, what are the things that I have that I can give? And so, Sprouts, my challenge for you today is simply to finalize those resolutions. Make sure that you have them written down. Ash Wednesday will be here before we know it. And the better you set your resolutions, the more powerful your Lenten season will be.
That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God intended you to be. One final word to the grown-ups. Thank you so much for listening to the Catholic Sprouts podcast. I would like to invite you to join a special Facebook group just for those that listen to the Catholic Sprouts podcast. We will use this group to connect, to share resources around that week's theme, and simply celebrate raising future saints. To find the direct link to the Facebook group, simply check the notes for this podcast episode.